Hi, my name is Lars Helgeson. I want to talk to you today about marketing automation. Marketing automation is a key part of the GreenRope platform. One of the main reasons why you would use GreenRope to help you run your business more efficiently. Really the goal here is streamlining process. Marketing automation is all about making things happen the same way every time and having triggers available so that when people do things, certain things happen, and you don't have to really be watching for that to happen automatically, just staring at a screen waiting for some magic to occur. By having our platform take care of that watching for you and triggering these automation steps, then you can really save you and your entire company a ton of time and work more efficiently. Really, as a marketing professional, one of the things I hear when I talk a lot and when I talk to the different marketing people that we run into is that it's important to show ROI with everything that you do, all the different campaigns. And it's also important to be able to flow the information that you gather from marketing directly into sales. Really, because that's the revenue generating part of the business, and you want to make sure that your sales team is armed with all the best information and all the best keys and triggers to help them close deals. Really, it's about making communication easier with your brand. As a marketing professional, you're responsible for that brand, and you want to make sure that all the communication that you send out really is consistent with the image that you've worked so hard to build. So let's talk about what automation steps we can employ here. Really, it comes in two flavors here: workflows and drip campaigns. So a workflow represents a sequence of actions that can happen when someone does something. So let's talk about the different kinds of things that a workflow can trigger. So you can move groups. So you can take a contact and you can add them to a group, or you can remove them from a group. You can also access a third-party web service. So maybe you have an application on your side that could be triggered by something here. This is generally more sophisticated users. Maybe we've had some examples of people doing print campaigns that are triggered by this. And if you have your own application, maybe that can be triggered by a workflow. But going more towards what's commonly done, we have the ability to set or append user data. So with all of our contacts in our database here inside your GreenRope account, you've got your contact and you've got your standard fields, and then you've got your user fields. And so all this data is associated with this contact. And what we can do with a workflow, when we can trigger it so that we actually change the data that's associated with this contact. We can also add activities. So this can be a CRM activity. Maybe if someone does something and you want to have someone in sales do a follow-up call or a follow-up meeting or meeting request, or even if you just want to make a note, you can do that right here. One of the other things we can do is send email, and we can send an SMS. So this means that maybe someone does something of value, and then from that particular thing that happened, we can then send them another email. We can also send them an SMS if we have their phone number on record. So these are all examples of things we can do with a workflow. There's actually more that you can do, but these are the big reasons why people set up workflows. Drip campaigns work a little bit differently. Typically, they are associated with groups. So drip campaigns mean that if an account might have multiple groups. So here we've got our examples here, maybe group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. If, say for example, we want to make something happen when a person gets added to group 2, then we would set up a drip campaign. You'll see underneath the Communicate tab, you'll see that there's a drip campaigns area, and you can set this up. Now within the drip campaigns, usually you're going to be setting up a sequence of emails. But inside these drip campaigns, you can actually embed workflows. So this gives you a little bit more flexibility. You could say, maybe 5 days later, you're going to set up a workflow. So that gives you more flexibility in how you want these workflows to be assigned. So let's talk about the triggers. So what's actually going to fire off a workflow? We know with drip campaigns we get added to a group, but what's actually possible for setting up these workflows? So I'm going to change colors here so it's a little easier to see the difference here. So we're going to look first for here email clicks. So if you send someone an email, they can get inside this message. So there's someone's inbox and there's a lot of content in here, and maybe you've got a particular part of this email that's linked. So you can then, as a result of that link, someone clicking on that link, you can have that activate a workflow. So we do that within the link library. Underneath the media library, you'll see that there's a place where you can click link library. You'll see all the links that you've sent emails from already, and then if you want to add more, you can do that. But if someone clicks on an email, that can then trigger this workflow. The next part is lead scoring. So we do lead scoring in two components, demographic and activity based. And generally speaking, you're most focused on the activity-based lead scoring because that's really what these workflows are going to be triggered by. The demographic is more of a static representation of who the person is and if they're the decision maker or if they're in a particular industry you care about. But the activity-based lead scoring allows you to say, if someone generates a certain number of points within a 24-hour period, I'm going to then say, okay, I'm going to then fire off this particular workflow. So that helps you then really set up the automation around people taking action. Another one that we do is web page visits. So someone visits your web page, maybe it's a particularly high value web page, maybe it's a particular page you care about. That web page visit can then trigger this workflow to happen. Another one that we've got is video. So if you go to your media library, you'll see there's a tab there for video. And if someone watches that video, you can then have that trigger a workflow. So we integrate with Vimeo. So you would create your Vimeo account, you would put your video within Vimeo, and then that video watching would then trigger this workflow. So if you use our web page builder to put the video on there, it's very easy. You just hit the widget button and that'll put the video on your landing page or your website. If you have your own website, you'll have to just copy and paste all the HTML that you see there on that page. It's very easy, it's just copy and paste. Put that on your web page and then we'll be able to track that video. Another thing that we do is conversions. So if you're a marketing professional, you probably know what a conversion is, but in short, it means someone did something of value to you. And with every conversion, you've got a specific code, you can have multiple stages, different values, but really what we're looking for are those conversions to actually trigger something to happen. So maybe somebody purchases something from you, and on the thank you page, you put our conversion activator, and then that little code will fire off, and then that will then trigger the workflow. Another thing that we can do is we integrate with Olark for chat. So if somebody sets up a chat, maybe they interact with your support team or your sales team over chat, that can then also trigger a workflow. We also have multiple kinds of forms. So really the two forms that you're most concerned about though are going to be the sign-up forms and the support ticketing forms. Sign-up forms are generally for newsletter sign-ups. Support ticketing is generally for initial sales or for support. That allows you, the sign-up forms are confirmed opt-in, the ticketing forms are designed to be single opt-in. Not that they're really opt-in, but they're more about interacting with your team, requesting a demo, asking for more information, needing help, etc. So these forms then are in place and on your website, and then when someone fills out those forms, that can then trigger this workflow to happen. The last thing that I'll talk about is user fields. So we talked about these user fields before associated with the contact, and we can change them here, but we can also then look for these values to change. So if you're looking for maybe someone elects to fill out a form and provide some information, maybe it's an interest in a product or service, if they change that and that becomes a value that you're looking for, then that can then trigger a workflow itself. So if you think about a use case, maybe where someone fills out a form and says, I'm interested in product X, Y, or Z, and that data ends up going into a user field, then that user field can check for what we call a trigger. And then if someone says, I'm interested in product X, then that interest would change the user field, and then that would also fire off the workflow, which could then tell a salesperson to follow up. So obviously there's a lot of flexibility built in here, and it's really up to you to determine what are your processes, what are your methods, what are you actually looking to create as far as streamlining and making your organization more efficient. So understand that there's a lot that you can do here. There's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of power. We're here to help you understand all the things that you can do. I really recommend that you take a few minutes to talk to someone on our support team or our services team to get a sense of how we could set this up and help you sort of guide you in the right direction of what this would look like for your organization. So thank you very much for your time, and remember, we're always here to help, and we're available 24/7 for you.